You know, Danica Patrick, she's been blazing a trail for women in NASCAR. She became the first female to win the pole position for this Sunday's Daytona 500. But as many of you know, well before this, she has certainly been making quite the name for herself on the track, certainly as well as off it. Luann Sorrell is going to join us now right from the Satellite Center. She's got a bit more on that. Hey, Luann.
Hey there, Bob. Yeah, while Danica's success over the weekend has captured America's attention, some wonder if she's getting all the glory because she's a woman competing in a man's sport. I talked with Shannon Owens, who's a sports writer for the Orlando Sentinel today, and she says there are plenty of other women who are just as deserving, if not more, of being in the spotlight. In your column, you're not too impressed with her capturing the pole, huh?
No, that's not actually what I was saying. I am impressed with what she's accomplished. What I was saying was there has been some chatter to, the effect of, well, it's great because she beat men. And I feel like that puts female athletes down in general. Just because you're beating other women in a sport, it doesn't make it any less important than when you're beating a man in a sport. And that's what I was speaking to. For example, when the UConn women's basketball team was on their streak, everybody said, oh, well, they're not playing any great competition. When Pat Summitt, was winning all of her games, people said, well, she just coaches women's basketball. Those are the kind of things that I'm speaking to when I say that I get tired of people always putting down the accomplishments of female athletes who are competing against other females because we don't value their work. And I think that's a problem. I think that's a perception problem. I think that's a very terrible message to send to young women, that just because you're not competing against men, that your work has no value. I mean, you look at a featherweight boxer. You don't take away from his work because he's not fighting a heavyweight. I mean, obviously there's physical differences, but we got to respect the work for what it is.
Do you think too much emphasis is being placed on Danica being a female and that she's pretty?
Not so much that she's a female, because it is historic. I don't have a problem with, people appreciating that. It is something to look at and to put in the history books. As far as her looks, that's how she makes her money. NASCAR is a corporate sponsorship sport. So I don't necessarily knock her for it. It wouldn't be my cup of tea, but I don't necessarily knock her for it because in NASCAR you have to have money to get the right equipment to race. So if that's how she makes her money with GoDaddy and she feels like doing sexually suggestive commercials or helping her brand, and that's what she chooses and that's what she wants to exploit, that's her choice, and I don't have a problem with that necessarily.
Well, since Danica is the first woman to ever win the pole position, few would argue that she has not earned her fame, and that fame will surely grow if she has a good showing at Sunday's Daytona 500.